Some of them were on LCIs, some of them were on LCTs, landing craft tanks. But they were just small groups would be together.
Okay.
But my ensign Joe Vaghi was with us, and our battalion commander was on board. In fact, as I found out, the regimental command for the 37th Combat Engineers was on our ship.
Okay. We
We had elements of their group, the 37th Engineer Combat Battalion. There was elements on there. We had a Navy doctor and corpsman. When we did cross, it was terrible crossing. Everybody was sick. It was windy, and the English Channel was as rough as it possibly could be. Well, the day before was stormy.
Right.
The 5th was all rain, wind. But a lot of us went topside and get some fresh air.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
But when the day that we made the landing, when we were going in, our commanding officer for the 6th Beach Battalion was going to be the first one off the port ramp.
Okay.
And our company officer, Joe Vaghi, went and begged the commanding officer, whose name was Carusi, and begged him to be the first person off. And Vaghi was a big football player himself. He's a big, strong man himself, athletic. Vaghi was the first one off. I was the 5th one off. And the man in front of me, whose name was Joseph Daly, from New Jersey, had just joined our outfit. He was only an 18-year-old kid. I was 20 years old, big deal. Most of us were just kids. He was the 4th person off, and I was 5th. And when they told us to jump off, they told us that the water was going to be deep. Somebody hollered that they couldn't go all the way in. They were going to have to let us off where we were, and the water was going to be over our head. So at any rate, they told us, you know, it's time to go in. But prior to that, one of the ship's company, which was a black man, by the way, was the first one off. And his responsibility was to take a line that was tied to the ship and go into the water and go as far as he could and plant an anchor so that the ship wouldn't back up because of the tide going in and out. The action of the surf, you know. But they killed him. He was killed. And we didn't know that at the time. And this was the reason why we were told that the water was going to be over our head, because we had drifted back. And the procedure was for the LCIs to throw an anchor out the back before they hit the beach, and they would slowly hit the beach. And when they did, one of the ship's company, which was this man, they would take a line from the ship and run into the beach and drop that anchor so it would stabilize the craft at a certain depth of the water, which was only supposed to be ankle deep. At any rate, we were told to jump, and people started jumping in from starboard and port, and we were on the port side. And when it got to John Daly had got to that point, and all of a sudden he staggered, as I can recall, and he fell to his left in the water, and I followed him. I jumped after him. And the water was over our head. It must have been at least 7 feet deep. And we had these inflatable life jackets where you just squeezed it like this, and it punctured 2 air tubes, and it inflated your life jacket. Well, that's what both of us did. John Daly and myself, we inflated our life jacket, and we popped up to the surface. And he says, "I've been hit." He says, So I helped him into the beach.